Hello and welcome back to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally and today we are jumping back into the April JW broadcasting. Not a lot has to be said about this one, but there are some weird changes that they've made versus prior broadcasting that make it a real head scratcher and hard to actually pay attention, but you'll see that later. Don't forget to drop a like on this video if you are enjoying the content, and if you want to see more content like this, hey, subscribe to the channel, I'd very much appreciate it. With all of that being said, let's do this.
In our next segment, a family decides to move to a foreign language field. Does this prove to be a wise decision for them? Let's see how things turn out.
Donc, on nous participe faire ça qui bien parce que l'aile est arrivée, n'a récolté si nous pas quitter
Fati. Si nous pas quitter Fati, poten aller.
Hey you, are you ready?
A few years earlier.
The Haitian community in our area was growing, and a new Haitian Creole congregation was formed nearby. We checked out their territory and saw they needed a lot of help.
So, a little bit of lore building here. This family sees that there is a need within their local territory for the Haitian Creole language group, whatever it was, and they are going to be like Paul and step over into Macedonia. So, let's see how it goes for them.
So, should we do this?
I've been praying for more studies. I think this might just be my answer.
Yeah?
I'm in.
Good. Then as soon as we get home, we can pray about it. Our new language was exciting. We spent every spare second we had trying to get better. We had so much joy, but we had challenges too.
Nous tuer l'amour, prochain nous, même nous l'amour, têche nous.
Now, these opinions might be a little bit American-centric here, so I apologize in advance, but traditionally when it comes to the JW broadcasting, if they have someone, saying something and Zizi, stop! What are you doing? Why are you attacking the screen? Even Zizi is bothered by this. Anyway, the dubbing in this is really clunky looking and awkward because normally they just do like voiceover and you can like hear the other person's voice where they'll be like, that was horrible. And then they'll just, dub it over in English or whatever the case might be. And it usually felt like it flowed pretty good, but this does not. This just looks really awkward. It just, I don't know if they have a different editing team that came in or if they, what the case was. And ZZ goes, there you go. But yeah, I just found it really disorienting because, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not the expert here in all Jehovah's Witnesses things, but I feel like this is the first time that we've seen like a dubbing that was done in this way. And for whatever reason, it just seems extremely odd. Now, let's get into the actual material here. This person gives a comment, in a different language. Obviously, it's not his mother tongue, and everyone laughs at him. I don't really foresee this as like being something that's very accurate. I guess if they said something very funny, then they should have at least shown on camera, like, did he say, penis instead of palace or something goofy like that would really give people a giggle? Or did he mess up on some word that is like an easy mistake? We don't really get that lore. So it's hard to like feel bad for him because we don't know, what he said was wrong or we shouldn't feel like angry at the people laughing at him because, again, we don't really know what he said. So that makes it a little bit more difficult in how they presented this overall.
Bonjour, Samuel.
Bonjour.
Lovely.
Nicholas,
Yeah.
could you read the next paragraph for us, please?
Yeah, sorry, where are we?
Our study was so nice today, wasn't it, Nicholas?
It was. And yet again, I was totally lost.
Now, this is getting into something that I find a little bit more interesting because it's something I've seen with my own two eyeballs, and that is someone moving to a foreign language group and then becoming less spiritual or actually, waking up from Watchtower indoctrination. In my life as a Jehovah's Witness, it wasn't actually uncommon for a zealous pioneer to go in gung-ho, oh, we're going to join this foreign language group, and then within months, they fall out of the truth, right? And it makes a lot of sense because sometimes when you don't understand what's happening at meetings and you don't understand, all of the constant indoctrination that's always being filtered into your mind, a lot of people that I've talked to, especially after they have left, that joined a foreign language group, they took the time to actually think about what was being said. So because they couldn't follow along necessarily, especially in the early days when they move congregations or groups, they start actually really thinking and just getting on the Watchtower library and researching Watchtower's own publications while the meeting's going on because they don't understand what's going on anyway. So they figure, well, this is a great time for me to become a more spiritual person. So I may as well study, the deeper things of God. Man, I am using so many JW expressions today. This is a horrible... Holy, okay, anyway, I'll try and cut that down. But anyway, this is a pretty common thing. So it's interesting that Watchtower is portraying this actually kind of accurately, and how it can be discouraging for someone to switch congregations and join a foreign language group and sort of lose part of their spirituality, or it becomes less exciting or interesting or hard to pay attention, and they lose some of their spiritual sense. So I think Watchtower actually portrayed this fairly accurately.
We didn't realize that Nico just wasn't finding the same joy as us. To help Nico, we did a few more things in our language. Besides family worship, we attended one meeting a month with our old congregation. Well, honestly, I'm a little worried about Nico. He's having a tough time adapting to our new congregation.
I get it. Back when we first joined a foreign language congregation, everything was fun and new. But after a little while, we noticed that our kids had lost their enthusiasm. They were still hearing about Jehovah, but honestly, they weren't learning because it wasn't in their language.
Is that why you moved back?
It was, but every family is different. We each have to decide what's best for our own.
Thanks. That's true.
Watchtower is all about control, and they want to control every aspect of their members' lives. They dictate what a person can read, watch, and listen to. They dictate what type of vacations and the length of them that people can go on for fear it might affect their spirituality. They try and dictate what type of education people can decide for their children. They try and dictate what type of employment people have, their marriage, their relationships, the people they date, the sex that people have. Every single aspect of a person's life, Watchtower tries to get its greedy little fingers in there and try and manipulate it. And so for him to say, oh, well, it's for each of us to decide what's best for our family, No, this is not an accurate representation of what it's like being a Jehovah's Witness. You don't get to decide. You get to decide from the choices that Watchtower gives you. So they say, hey, you can do one of these 5 things. Which is it? But you're not actually deciding. You are choosing from a list that the governing body, the leaders of Watchtower, give you. So it's very disingenuous for them to be talking in this type of language.
I found the perfect article to help us decide what to do. It mentioned the example of Daniel. He had to speak different languages every day, but he made sure to study in Hebrew, his language. The article mentioned Psalm 119:11. In my heart, I treasure up your saying. For Nico to treasure God's word in his heart, we felt he needed even more guidance in the language of his heart.
The truth is, when I'm at the meeting in my language, it's different. I don't have to think a lot just to understand what I'm hearing.
Well, I think it's clear what's best for our family.
It is.
But what about your students?
It's okay, Nico. We'll find a way to help them.
The language we're immersed in every day is the language of your heart. So it's best for you to keep growing spiritually in that same language.
So this is definitely a tone shift from my experience with Watchtower. Normally this would have been portrayed as, hey, we prayed more, we doubled down, and Jehovah gave us the energy and the spirit to continue. Now it's, hey, it's okay if things don't really work out with the foreign language congregation for you guys because it's affecting your son's spirituality. Which, again, I don't know. Maybe this is me just trying to make my prediction come true. But I do think that maybe this is a slight softening of the tone that they're taking. And hey, you tried it, good for you. And if things don't quite work out, that's okay. But I do think it is funny, and I have to say it one more time. Watchtower always gives the most ridiculous examples, so they try and bring in the example of Daniel. The same Daniel that saw a magic hand start magically writing things in a wall, that stood in a lion's pit and was protected by angels, that got thrown into a fiery furnace and didn't even have the fringes of his clothing burned in the slightest. That Daniel. They take this supernatural being, this superhero as it were, and say, hey, we can learn something from him. Because even though he was in Babylon, he still studied in Hebrew. Well, what else was he going to study in? It's not like there was Babylonian text that he was going to find ancient Canaanite scripts. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I do find it fascinating how they always try and point to the Old Testament figures as examples whenever they're trying to deal with their modern day problem.
It was the best decision in order for Nico to stay close to Jehovah. But we did miss the Haitian Creole field. So, a few years later... Are you ready?
I'm a little nervous, but I think I'm ready.
We decided it was the right time to move back. We're so glad our decision helped Nico build a solid foundation for his faith and his future.
I finished this dramatization kind of just sad at how parents will do anything in order to keep their children indoctrinated, and yet they won't do anything to keep them happy or to set them up for life. It's all about what my child can do for Watchtower. So hey, let's try and move to a foreign language group and maybe they'll get some extra bonus joy there. Well, that didn't work out. Okay, well, we'll go back. No matter what the case might be, people are training their children to be Jehovah's Witnesses and nothing else. There's no other alternatives. And that is what is really sad here. It's not like they had a choice of, well, you know what? We would support you if you wanted to go to college and pursue a career, or we would support you to do this other thing that you thought. Nope. The only way that this teenager will get his parents' support is if he maintains his spirituality, and by spirituality we mean just saying and doing everything that Watchtower says that he should say and do. It's a truly pathetic and boring life. Well, due to a few time constraints, we're gonna have to cut it off there, but we will finish this JW broadcasting. Boy howdy, we'll get to the end eventually. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. If you're still around, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe, be kind, and don't forget to smile. I'm not doing it.